Hello, hello, welcome back again. I'm so excited for today. So I've got Iris with me. Um, and if you guys saw our last episode that we did, we talked a little bit about witch wounding. We talked a little bit about like the current energies and frequencies that are going on. We talked about a little bit of everything in the last one. This one, we're going to start, and the major thread is going to be on dreams, dreaming, dream weaving. I know that those are near and dear to your heart. And you also have a course that's coming out the 11th. Is that November 11th? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. So I was just telling Iris that I started listening to this book over the weekend. I had finished this book called the Happy Pocket Full of Money, and then I started listening to The Greatest Secret. So for anyone who has heard of The Secret by, I think it's Rhonda Bynes, um, this is her now fourth book, and it digs a little bit deeper and it talks about awareness and it talks about how we are not our body and we are not our mind, and how all we really are is awareness, and we are a soul in a body having an experience, but we are not this body and we are not our mind. And the last chapter that I listened to this morning on my walk was about dreaming and about how when we're in the dream state, when we're in that dream world, it feels very real, it feels tangible, it feels like there was one scenario that they used of like when you get pinched in a dream, you feel it. It's a dream pinch. I was like, that's such an interesting way to look at it. But then they went on to have other conversations about how everything is a dream. Like this right now, this experience right now, it is a dream of the soul, and it's just so well developed that you don't notice gaps, so you don't realize that it's a dream, and how we're not, some people will live the entire dream as though it's a dream and they'll never wake up from it. And then there are other people who are, we'll call them more conscious, more aware, right? And these people look to the dream state and what we consider reality and think about these things as, um, okay, everything is not happening, you know, to me, it's happening for me, but I can also alter what I'm experiencing. So I'll stop at that point and let you pick it up with wherever you feel called to start talking.
Oh my goodness. Wow, what an introduction. And also like what an introduction to this beautiful topic. And it's so perfect what you're mentioning there because it's exactly something that for me, if I look at it, because I have been bringing my dreams into reality in a very like practical, experiential way. And you're bringing in now this perspective of like the knowledge part, which I was actually looking for. So, right there, right? Bam.
Perfect as
Thank
always.
you. And it's just
Mm.
like this is how things work if we allow ourselves to just follow the natural rhythms and listen to the voice of our intuition that tells us, hey, we're here for something greater. We're here to, co create something with other humans, but also with other beings and with the elements that we need in order to create it, right? And bring it into reality. And that can all go very organically, just like this. And I think for me, that's where the dream, also comes in for me because dreaming is such an organic thing. We all dream. All the people have a dream.
Can you
All
say
like,
that again? We all dream, all people have dreams, right?
yeah,
How often do you hear people say, I don't dream? I'm like, you do dream, you're just not aware of it.
yeah, and like it's just such a it's so interesting because if you're like we all dream and yes, we're not aware, but there are so many tools and I'm sure Julie that you can help people with that actually very well in like, okay, how do we start remembering this? And like because I haven't been trained in helping people to remember it. But,
Mm.
I am very much aware of like if you become aware of your daydream, you start to become aware of your night dream. And if you, start to learn more and more to just keep daydreaming, and at the same time, that will start transferring into your night dream because at night you process. So, that's how, and then in that night dream, that starts processing where you actually are in this super open state because your nervous system is relaxed. Then your mind is completely open and your subconscious has the opportunity to come through. So whatever you put in your daydream goes into your night dream and then becomes fueled with whatever your subconscious is telling you to do, which is the best for you. And if you are doing the work, then you start realizing that you want to be doing something more that is only contributing to your life. You want to create something that is good for all life on earth and not just you and humanity. No, it's like you, humanity, your dog, the water, the soil, maybe even the gold in like, the core of
This
this planet we call home.
This is so, I love this. I love this because you touched on some things that I'm like, I was thinking earlier, I was like, what about like what we perceive as like bad dreams versus good dreams? And you're talking about how the subconscious plays out in the daydream, right? So I think back, I've always been a super active dreamer. And I remember dreams in great vivid detail, which I know not everyone does. So to go back to your point about like how can we remember our dreams? Tools that I've learned and that I know that others teach, there's several. One is like speak the dream out loud as soon as you wake up. So find someone who is a safe space for you and have that conversation or that dialogue. Say, hey, is it cool if I tell you about my dream? I don't need any feedback or anything because the dream is the interpretation of the dreamer, right? It's not up to the interpretation of anybody else unless you're asking for support, but it's like speaking the dream out into existence. And I know when I speak my dreams to people, I will end up remembering more things. So a cool way you can do this is, let's say you wake up, there are some nights that I'll have multiple dreams, like, and I'll remember most of all of them. And I'm like, what was going on? Right. And so one thing that you can do is when you wake up, if you have it like a tape recorder by your bed, you can record into the tape recorder what you remember. Others will take it as far as to like journal out what it is. And this can be really disruptive for people, pending like if you have a 9 to 5 job or you have to be up early in the morning and well rested, right? So I would say, like, go with what works for you. And the more you do that, the better your dream recall is going to get. So that would be like the first thing that I've learned. And there are also like dreaming groups where you can find. Robert Moss is has dedicated, I think, decades to studying dreams and dream work and lucid dreaming, and what does it mean and what do they mean, and what can we get from our dreams, because like you were saying, the subconscious is telling us something. So I think this also ties me back to the bad versus the good. When I started on this like spiritual evolution of mine and spiritual journey, some of the dreams that I would have, I'm like, this is some Stephen King shit. Like I could write some Stephen King stuff from these dreams. I'm like, what is going on? And now, if I look at my dreams, very rarely now do I have dreams where I'll wake up in a panic, or where I'll wake up being like, "Ooh, that was bad. I don't want that." Right? Like often now, I have dreams where I'm like finding money or winning money or having these amazing experiences. But I've been working on my money consciousness and like conscious wealth. So these are the things that are happening in my dream, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is nice." So I love I love this whole like conscious versus unconscious and that piece of it. Can you speak more into that?
So if you like, I really love how you just bring it all in actually, because if you what you're saying about the money, I'm working on money, so it's appearing in my dream. It's like you're consciously working on some traumas around money. We all have traumas around money. Like as soon as like we have this unhealthy relationship that it's the only way to exchange goods in this world. So per definition, you have an unhealthy relationship with money. Everyone has that. Even though you invite it very freely into your life, you might have issues with spending it unconditionally on things that, don't give you a return right away. So, like your work around money reflects into your dream. And, if you consciously ask, oh, like, I would really love to receive it, and say it basically right before you go to bed, even, then that starts working even stronger for you. So basically, like, a very beautiful example of this is this local impact project that I'm here for in Costa Rica. A lot of people move here for the incredible biodiversity, and no, I'm one of those people that not fell in. Yes, I fell in love with the nature, but actually, I fell in love with a local impact project that you know was just kind of like, of all the things that you could be doing in this world, to me, it sounded like the most logical thing to do. Everyone else in the world thought I was crazy. Still think I'm crazy. But anyway, it's landing for a lot of
I think
people.
it's
And
brilliant, but
yeah, but it's just beautiful if you really look at how that impact project came into life. There was a woman who started it that I work with, and like, she received in her dream this vision, whereas she's not really like visualizing, but she received in her dream the vision of this place and what it should become. And that she woke up with the feeling afterwards of like, wow, okay, no, I need to start doing something for this community here. This is what I'm here to do right now, and I need to start listening to my voice of my intuition, the voice of my intuition. And she literally, like, every single thing that is in that place, even though, the financial resources are not necessarily flowing in the most abundant way, like, the whole thing is created into such a way that by now it's a community hub where a local farmers market takes place. It has all kind of projects incubating there, and things that really support the local community. And every time, like, we talk about things, like, it really comes through us, and it's part of our dream work, that comes through us, that this place is created. And it's in the dreams of many people of this, that are living here in this area and are of this area, that really dream about having, for example, an economy that really serves the local people. Well, that happens right there in that place. It's called Los Higuerones right now. It happens in that community hub because that's where the farmers market takes place. That's where the, like, alternative exchange models are actually in practice, the beyond money models. But it was also like a lot of local people, they dreamt, and including her and including me, like, we dream about having, a place that just flourishes with life. And yes, it's part of the action as well. Action is part of your dream work, because if you're not acting in the conscious and acting consciously and intentionally, that doesn't come back into, like, your subconscious and starts working, because you need to keep the reciprocity going there. That's just like, your subconscious needs fuel as well. So if you're really looking at how the subconscious has been informing this woman, and then afterwards the people she started working with, including me, into creating this place that for many people is really the sanctuary and like a lifeboat of how we can live with each other in reality, then like, you definitely see how the subconscious reflects back in the conscious through dream work.
that's so beautiful because all of the work that I've read around dream work and dreaming and dream, not necessarily dream weaving, but it's just like dream work, right? I mean, it's pretty much all through Robert Moss, but he talks in many of his works about how famous musicians in the middle of the night, they'll get their next song. Like they'll get it in a dream and they'll wake up and then they'll just start writing. They'll start
Yeah.
writing down the notes, the melody, the lyrics, whatever is coming through for them in the dream. And this is where many famous works have come from. And very, very I would say it even goes to things such as like we'll pick on Albert Einstein, right? We'll pick on electricity. So it's like if you're open to the universe giving you things, it can come in this dream space, but it may not just come in for you. It's going to come in for multiple people. They could be spread all around the world. But it's like who actually takes that dream and then puts it into reality. Like if anyone's
Yeah.
ever thought like, oh, I had that idea, and this, whether we're dreaming or we're dreaming, we'll say it like this, like in sleep dream state or in like this current reality, it's the same, right? Like you get an idea that comes in, you get that, people like to call them downloads, right? You get this thing that comes in seemingly from nowhere. Like I've gotten multiple ideas to write books in dreams, and I'm like, oh, these would be like really good books. I don't know that they're for me, right? Because I'm just like, I don't really want to take the time to do it. But we have these things that come in, and other people have the same things or similar things that come in. And it's like, whoever's going to take the actual actions, like the woman who's created this project you're doing right now, she got this dream. Others probably had the same dream, but she took the action. She took the physical action steps to make this a reality. And it's like, once we do that, then the universe is like, oh, here you go. Here you go. Like you listened to the dream that I gave you. You took the steps. Like, let me give you the pieces to the puzzle that you're missing. And let me bring those in for you to make this a reality, to make this something that's in our waking state, which is, it's beautiful. It's incredible.
And that's the weaving, right? That's the weaving of the threads basically. Like I always refer to, if if we look at our lives as a tapestry, then every single action is a thread that you're stitching. So, that's why you want to stitch it intentionally, so you know that it's, stitched well. But at the same time, it's also like, if you really look, I come from a family of weavers, so like literal weavers of tapestries. And if you really look at how they work, it's like they don't, they might have an idea about what it's going to be looking like. But then, with their hands, while they're imagining that idea, they're doing the stitching, like almost with the threads that are available at that moment in time. And sometimes you need to put in a new thread, but usually that's not the case. You have a particular set of threads and you just weave your design with that in the way that um, it allows you to create what you're envisioning. And I just want to touch on upon one thing, which is the unconscious, and like what you're saying about the universe bringing it to you in your sleep, and then one person taking the action. It's like, yeah, because if you really look at where we are, like what you introduced us like with as well, is what if we are just energy in a particular form, in a particular time, in a particular place, because they come together right there, right? And that makes up what we look like today. That means that if we are like 80% subconscious basically in our actions and 20% conscious if you're lucky, right? That's really
That's
if you're
crazy,
lucky,
right?
because
Ooh, yeah,
with
true.
with the things that are happening nowadays and the information overload, I actually think that that balance is going even way more out of whack. um but just looking at it, that when you're in your sleep and you're basically, you're still in a time and you're still in a place, but you're not consciously in a time and in a place. You like your consciousness basically dissolves. And because we are all interdependent beings, like it is possible that information travels through the energetic fields into like multiple people at the same time. And then, yes, it's the person waking up literally and saying, hey, I'm going to be doing this. And that's the courage, and that's the stamina, and that's the discipline. And that's, then actually all those skills come into play, that we're kind of like being distracted from learning by the way we grow up nowadays. Because we're all, it's all about comfort, and it's all about, yeah, not don't do the difficult thing. And like why would you listen to a voice that is not rational? And it's like, yeah, but actually maybe that voice is the most important informant for what you're doing right now. And I'm sure you have a similar you have an example of that, like how your voice actually brought you to this point where you're now, and what you're offering to the world.
Yeah, no, 100%, because it's like going back to that, like, are we awake in the dream, or are we dreaming while we're awake? I don't know if the way that I said this makes sense, but it's like someone can live their whole life as though they are sleeping. And it's not that they've never been given the opportunity to wake up or the call, right? So if you, for me, I look back on all of the times in my life where there were really, really difficult times, right? And you're dealing with trauma, or you're dealing with, all of these different things that are going on in your life. So for me, a very solid, specific example of this is what people refer to now as the dark night of the soul. Um, Once I was consciously aware of what a dark night was, I'm like, how many opportunities did I have before this? Like, and then you look back, right? And you're like, oh shit, there were a lot, right? Like for some of us, there are a lot. And I remember like I don't speak to my mother. And every time we've tried to have that relationship, it just always falls out and always falls out. She's one of these people that are she's still asleep. She's still wrapped in the programming and the trauma and these things, and that's okay, that's her journey. But growing up, when I was college age, like 18 to 20, well, we'll call it 18 to 30, well, 17 to 30, like, yeah, it was a pretty big window, right? And it was always this back and forth and this back and forth, and I had so much like inner turmoil about all of it. And I just remember in college, like I would get these horrific migraines, and instead of like leaning into that and asking, like, what's my body trying to tell me right now? Or like, what's going on? And I had these things that were so interesting that I wanted to explore. But instead of actually doing that, I would numb out. I would, use alcohol, or I would, do the things that people typically do to distract themselves, right? So it was going to parties, meeting people, trying to be in relationships that obviously weren't healthy because I had so much stuff that I needed to sort out, right? And then fast forward, and I really think that that was a pivotal point in a moment where my soul, my higher self was trying to be like, wake the fuck up. I'm going to make your life so uncomfortable for you right now and give you an opportunity to wake up. But I didn't take it, right? I would numb out by drinking, or I would numb out by television, or I would numb out by, sex and relationships, and all of these things, right? And then fast forward to, I think I was like 32, 33 years old. Um, and I was in a corporate job where, I'm still following the path, I'm following the way, I'm following the programming, we'll call it. And then my body just shuts down. I'm sick for 6 weeks. And that was a choice point. And I remember thinking, and I remember having the conversation with a colleague of mine. Like, I'm sitting there at my desk, like tears streaming down my face. I'm like looking at the shop floor behind us, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. Like, this can't be my life purpose, right? This can't be the reason that I'm here, because this is fucking stupid. This sucks. And he's like, you do a great job. Like, you teach people all the time. I'm like, bro, this ain't it. This ain't it. Like, this can't be the reason I'm here on this planet. Can't be it. Will not accept that. Right. And he's like, I think you're depressed. I'm like, I'm not depressed. I just don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life. Right. And it's that soul's yearning and calling. And if you've started to feel that, then you can pinpoint the previous times in your life where your soul was crying out to you to wake the fuck up. And you either did or you didn't, right? But you're going to get multiple opportunities, whether you're just starting out or you're 20 years down the line or whatever it is. Like, you get multiple opportunities for this wake up, and this to be like this active participant in your life, I should say, which I think this is exactly what we get to do in our dreams. Like, we get to be an active participant in our dreams. What would you say if someone is, if that sparks a question or a thread for someone, and they're like, well, how do I become an active participant in dreaming or in my life? Like, what would you tell them?
Well, I think it just comes back to something that you're saying there. It's like um the waking up. I mean, I think it's there's almost in language in the world right now, there's a trend going on where people are like wake or awake or woke movements. Um and it's also um just touching upon that for a little bit, which means for me, if you're kind of waking up, it means that you are not necessarily like, yes, you might be following the program, but that's a choice. Like for some people, they're really meant to be in this corporate job because that's where their role is to change, to create change for this world, right? So it's like we have all these ideas about programming and just just pinpointing it is like, for me, if you wake up, if you're taking more awake actions, you actually take them from three elements, which is you practice your agency, which then involves that you feel self-empowered and that you feel authentic. And those three things for me are very important to kind of, yeah, be able to listen to this voice that speaks through us and that comes through your subconscious, or is actually the voice of your subconscious or intuition or universe or spirit, whatever you want to call it. um and it's, if people really want to become more awake, it's about asking yourself, okay, what are the things that I've been taught and are actually not serving me, but I am still doing, and what is the belief behind it? And it's also in many movements, especially in the regenerative movement where I'm part of, related around regenerative agriculture and the regeneration trend right now. It's like it's basically like deconditioning yourself. Like we got so many programs in the sense of conditions that you know, um, how we go about money, how we go about our career, how we define success, how we define health, how we define like how we look. Um, what else? Like, oh yeah, that nature, that we are not part of nature. That is a conditioning. Like I think that's one of the biggest
It's like
conditions.
literally everything, right? It's
Yeah,
everything in
that's
your
like
life.
for me, that's almost like all everything in our lives is everything that we do in an unconscious way is driven by a condition. And in the end, for me, this dream weaving journey is also to offer people who feel the call like but are just in this space of like, I don't really know how to, like put how to make this dream that I dream of this world. Like this I dreamt about this community place that I work for, this local impact project, for I think 15 years before I simply landed there, because before that I made the choice to give myself full liberation, or to liberate myself completely and see what would be coming into my life. And um, then I landed at this impact project, and I'm like, crap, wow, this combines everything that I always thought or always dreamed of working on in my life, which is supporting local farmers, supporting strengthening a local economy, figuring out how it works with alternative currencies. Like, call it super geeky, but that's just really what I'm dreaming of. Because
I
I'm just
wouldn't
like,
call that
we
geeky.
need to change, we need to change in this world. We need different systems that serve us and that serve, our planet and the monkeys that are just coming through the trees here.
The monkeys in
Um,
Costa Rica are wild. They're
yeah,
wild.
and there's so many people with a dream like that, like there's so many people with a dream of, okay, what is it that I can contribute to the life, to all life on earth basically, and make this a little bit of a better place for future generations. that even though they're gonna be facing a lot of, you know, difficult moments, that they have the perspective, that they just have perspective of how they can live, and how can we as people already create those places that offer them that perspective and the tools and the frameworks and the ways of doing that, and the communities, moreover, to yeah, just bring that into existence. So for me also, this dream weaving journey is like a lot of people hear this call, they dream already about, oh yeah, if I make a lot of money, then I'm gonna be, you know, like setting up an orphanage somewhere, or I'm gonna be doing this, or I'm gonna be doing that. I'm like, yeah, when you make a lot of money, that might take a little bit longer. So let's just put all the tools that I've learned about manifestation and, you know, like bringing the dream literally into your reality, and about dream work, but also about, you know, like more regenerative frameworks, because it's going to be combined with a modern day theory U framework. So you're also able to facilitate other people in their process after this journey. So it's not only you learn how to weave your dream into reality, you also get the tools in order, like you get the tools that offer you the opportunity to start helping others with it.
Oh,
And
that's so
then it's just
beautiful.
spreading the ripple, because we're in these very turbulent times. Like, you know, a lot of people call it crisis. I don't see it crisis. I just call it like, I like the terminology, the great unraveling. Things are just
Mm.
showing themselves. And whether you want to believe it or not, you know, like the war between Europe and Russia and the States, and, you know, with the elections coming in and the effect that is going to be having on the economy, and, you know, like particular resources on Earth are going to be like extra, like finite at one point, they're going to be done.
Which to me, that's such bullshit, right? Like this. Okay, I need to go on a little bit of a rant for a hot second. Like, do you remember? And maybe it was different for you, but as a kid, I remember being taught that like water is a renewable resource, right? Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, water is no longer renewable. It's not renewable. I'm like, the fuck did that process change? Right? That process of nature didn't change. The fuck if it's not a renewable resource, right? But this is what happens with like the programming and the scarcity and the lack mindset is like they just very sneakily like interject these things like this, right? That ooh, we're running out
Yeah.
of water. We're not fucking running out of water. And the thing that's like we can't take water from the ocean and get water that's not salt water. What do you think the clouds do, people? Like these things used to drive me
Or
absolutely
just
nuts.
drink the rainwater.
Exactly, exactly, right? Like we're not running out of anything. We're not. And this is we have a world, we have a universe that's full of limitless possibilities. Anything that you've ever dreamed of, anything that you've ever fathomed in your mind, it's already been created somewhere. It's already somewhere in it. And if that's for you to be a trillionaire, then it's somewhere out there, right? If that's for water to not run out, I got news for you, it's not running out. But that's like the hook, right? That's the thing is
Yeah.
if they can hook you in and control you through fear and create these mechanisms of scarcity and lack for anything, right? Whether it's water or whether it's food or whether it's I don't know, whatever other crazy shit happens when you have elections, right? Like I just got two texts about voting before we hopped on here and I'm like, don't fuck with me with that. Like but it's that mindset and like hooking people into that fear paradigm that creates then that reality because what we believe and what is perpetuated the cycles that are perpetuated in our mind like you're saying the conscious versus subconscious if we are broadcasting that out into the world then that's what we see collectively so
Yeah.
change your mind change your reality right? Change from this limited point of view and this limited thinking to expansiveness and abundance. And it's crazy to me now. You think about the universe, and it's we can't even we can't even conceptually or verbalize like the expansiveness of just our universe, right? The one we're existing in currently, and there's multiple. So how are we running out of water? It's just
And I love this example because the running out of water is like the running out, like that's where you see how important language is. Like we are running out of water, which means that there's going to be a lack. Whereas, yeah, no, there's no lack of water. There might just be a lack of a system that makes it clean for us to
clean.
drink. And that's where the possibility is. So that's where, like in this very short example, I just show like, you know, you can see it as we're running out of water and there's going to be a lack of water, or you're going to be seeing it as no, we're running out of the system, or we're like we don't have the system in place to make that water useful for us as humans to drink and clean it up. Because there are some facts, like sour rain. Usually you can drink the rain. If it's sour, you don't want to be drinking it. Like usually, like I could ocean water, that's fine. But if it's a red tide, you really don't want to be doing that. So, and
Yeah.
those things are induced by chemicals, right? So if we look at, okay, going down the path, it's like, okay, we're running out of water. No, we lack the system to make clean water. But actually, if we go down like the route of what actually causes us to not have water, or even the system or whatever creates the thing, is like the chemical. So what if we eliminate that chemical from our system, and then all of a sudden we're not running out of water. All of a sudden we don't need that system anymore, including like all the resources that system asks. And third of all, we just come back to our natural way of living, which is we can drink our clean river water here, or the water that comes from the soil, or the water that comes from the rain. And there is just so much in that. And that all has to do as well with this dream weaving, is like as soon as you become aware, and in this journey we will work on that, like we will work on the root cause of the story you're holding and see what the and with that, like practice and increase your sense of
Can you go back to that? You were
agency.
talking about the subconscious, and then you were talking about working, getting to the root of that. You froze for a second, so I want to make sure that everyone hears exactly what you were. Sorry.
um the subconscious and the root of that. Yeah, so if you look at, like you have the story over here, and then within that story is already like a solution. Basically there's a possibility, the water example, right? Did you get that I
Hmm.
mentioned the water example and how that
Yes.
changed?
Yes.
But then if you go down the route of actually the issue, it's the chemical. And if we eliminate the chemical, we're just able to thrive naturally.
Yeah. So the part where you're talking about the dream weaving journey, how
Ah, okay,
part
yeah.
of the dream weaving journey is where you start with working with the subconscious,
Yeah.
right? And looking at, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is like, we're going to be looking at what is the story that you're believing, like you're running out of water. And then actually we're going to be looking at, okay, but what is, first of all, the possibility that's in that story? And then as well, like we're looking at what is the root cause of you actually having that story. And if we look at the root cause, is still the possibility that we've created, in step two, is that then still the answer that you want to be working on, in the sense of bringing your dream into action? Because actually that root cause can be the thing that informs you, because it's the root cause is coming from your subconscious, right? It informs you what is truly yours in the next step to do. So it's like, you jump a bit back and forth in time, basically. But what it gives you is, as soon as you have this skill, you start realizing that you can change your perspective and your perspective, and that you can, like, go down something, resolve something, and with that bring something into life which truly is a contribution to the highest good of all life on earth. And that's with the local impact project, that I'm talking about a lot here too, like Los Higuerones. It's like, it really, within all the work that's being done, like, we're listening to the people of the place. So if you don't know specifically if you have a voice of intuition right now, then maybe you want to start talking to someone who is a lot older than you and that you trust, and like the elders that can help you to bring up that voice of your intuition again. And there's just a lot there. So it's just going to be like this 8-week journey of basically visiting your stories, seeing what the possibilities are, going to the roots. And within that, just the dream work is, a part of it all, because what you do in your conscious is going to go into your subconscious at night. And then your subconscious can start informing you by, the tools that you get in order to, what you said, remember your dream. Like, I think this is, you gave some beautiful examples there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So if you, how can people contact you? How can people get in? Because November 11th, just a couple of days from now, it feels like. I know it's really next week. But how can people find you to get enrolled in this program or ask more questions about it? I'm super excited about it because dream weaving is, it's just so fun, right? Like there's so many things that you can do with the work that you embody to go into the dream weaving, but also like this is you can do this for everything in your life. It's not just
Yeah.
like in the liminal state of dreaming, right? It's like to me this opens up the possibilities of like so many so many things, right? um so what's the best way for people to get on board and to work with you for this 8-week program that you have coming up?
So they can find me through my Instagram, Step Into Regeneration. And if they want to know more right away, they can also send me an email. It's worksofiris@gmail.com. And yeah, within that, I have an info package that I'm going to be sending. It's all going to be gift based, because within everything I've learned, I believe that unconditional reciprocity always is part of the foundational elements or foundational principles in nature, and I follow the natural rhythm and cycles. So it's a gift-based program, and we will determine what your contribution can be in the first conversation that we will have, because we're going to have a quick intro call.
That's
So yeah.
beautiful, beautiful, because I think
And I have one more question for you as well, because
yeah.
I was looking for, like, for me, it's, I'm doing this program really to bring this into like, to bring people into a place that they take agency of acting. But I have like, within that, there's probably going to be a lot of questioning what you say about the dream work itself and the tips and tricks. So I would love for you to do a class around dream work in this journey as well, as part of, the reciprocal relationship that we're having, that is focusing specifically on how do you remember your dreams and those things.
Oh, I would be honored. I would love that. That's so fun and
Nice.
exciting. And I really love what you said about the reciprocity, right? Like it's a donation based, it's gift based, it's whatever, right? Because I think there's two schools of thought here, and I feel like we can bounce between these. There's the school of thought that there's like everything that I give, I will receive back sevenfold, tenfold, whatever it may be, which is a beautiful thing. But I feel like sometimes we can also get wrapped up into that, where then we think that then we can go into this undervaluing ourselves. But when it's gift based, I just think that that's so fucking beautiful because it allows people who are like, oh shit, this sounds so amazing. And I just want to do this and I just want to work with you. But it maybe financially right now they're going through a rough time and they're struggling. And I know that there's oftentimes with the different types of work that people do, they might not have the funds or they might not have what's needed to get them to that next step. So I think that it's so beautiful that that's how you do the work that you do and that you've set yourself up in this way to make that available for people. So I just want to say thank you for that. I think it's absolutely beautiful where it's two sides to the coin, right? Where the work that I do with people, I often see where they have imposter syndrome, where they don't value themselves. So they have a hard time sometimes stepping into pricing and
Yeah.
what to charge for things. But if you take this is a very different angle and a very different aspect, which is so beautiful. But I also know that you've created a life where you you're able to do this in this way because of the way that you've structured the rest of your basically
Yeah.
your life in order to be able to work in this space and in this way, which is it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like within this, what you're saying, like there's gonna be probably people are gonna be having so many questions when they're joining. So I think it's only good to have different types of, a diverse set of experts on board that can help people with imposter syndromes and, like getting over some things and yeah,
Yeah.
just bringing in the depth of what is needed because this is hard work and a lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize it before they start it, but it's a great journey to be
Yeah.
on because it really
Yeah.
makes you feel alive, and at the same time it's it's the hard work that pays off in the end, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that this is the actual hard work that we're being asked to
Yeah.
do right now in these times.
Yeah, it is because when you work on yourself and when you do the things that feel difficult or seem difficult, not only does your reality change, but it also changes for the people that are in your lives,
Yeah.
right? I know that you've seen that happen. Like we all see that happen where it's like you have these holy shit moments where you're like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? And it's so incredible. And I'll share
Yeah.
these things as they happen with friends of mine, and they're like, that's a testament to the work that you do. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, thank you, right? Because we often forget that or maybe we just don't know. But in order for us to change the world at large, we had to start with ourselves, right? You
Yeah.
start with what because we're all in this together and we're all perpetuating, a lot of the same things because we've been taught a lot of these things or programmed in the same way. So the more of us that do this deep body of work, the more we get to it's like taking a breath, like I get to take a breath and I get to step out of that. But then you get to be the way shower for other people and you get to support other people. I even recently had a friend that she was like, when did you grow up? Did you get so grown and so wise? And I'm like, I've been doing the work for like 5, 6 years and like really deeply. Like it's just how it
Yeah.
is, right? When
Yeah.
you really dive in and you really make that commitment and and this is a huge step for that. So I think that, yeah, anyone who's questioning, is this the thing for me, or is this the path, or whatever that question is, like reach out to Iris and get on a call and talk through that, and don't let yourself hold yourself back. I think we do that
Yeah.
often. But if this is something that's like really exciting for you, and there's something that's like really alive for you in listening to any of this, like take that next step and hop on a call and have that conversation because I can promise you it's going to be miraculous and beautiful and so amazing.
Thank
All right.
you, Julie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Any
and also, in this spirit of support, if anyone wants to know more about this local impact project, I'll send you the link of Los Higuerones, and then people can check it out and they can see what actually has been created in the possibility by just sitting and doing the work of like this what is our intuition telling us to do right now.
Perfect, perfect.
Thank you.
Any last departing words before we
I
close
j-
out today?
I just enjoyed this conversation once more. It's so juicy. It always feels so good to be on the call with you.
It does. It's amazing. I love it. So I would say just a quick recap for anyone who is like, where do I start with my dreams and where do I, I think two big things for me that came up on this call was like setting intentions before you do anything is huge. Set your intentions at first thing in the morning and then set the intention of what you want to dream about and what you want that, that dream space to bring into you and for you. And then the other thing is like start recording in some way what dreams you do remember because it's like I don't know, I don't think it was the Aborigines, the Native American tribes. They often believe that the dream space is it's the gift of God, it's the gift of spirit. And when we don't honor that gift, then it's taken away. So if we think that we don't dream or we don't remember, set the intention to like have a specific dream and to remember the dream and then take that action step towards writing it down and towards these different things or communicating it to someone in some way. It can just be notepad on your phone, right? But any way that you can honor the dream, whether you loved the dream or hated the dream, just honor the dream. And in that honoring, you're going to get more back from that. So it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I'm so excited for your course and so excited for everything you're doing in the world. So until next time, have a lovely day.
Thank you.